ಹಾಕು ತೆಗೆದುಬಿಟ್ಟು ಚಾರ್ಜ್ ಬಂತಲ್ಲ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದೆ.
Right here.
Little bit. Oh, yeah, there's some. How about that? I guess adult can play that one too, though.
What?
Adult can play that one too.
Oh yes, I saw somebody playing it the other day. I saw the first one. You played that? Yeah. He's in the book. He is the lover of the cowherd maidens of Raj, the holder of the great hill named Govardhan, the beloved son of Mother Jasoda, and the delighter of the inhabitants of Raj. He wanders in a forest along the banks of the river Jamuna. It's just past 7:30, right?
Yeah.
It says text 41 there, right?
Right.
Okay. Please repeat. Sattvam Rajas. We're reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 10, Text 41. Tama iti Sattvam Rajas Tama iti Tishraha Sura Nir Narakaha Tishraha Sura Nir Narakaha
Tishra Sura Nir Narakaha
Okay, I'm sorry. Tatrapi Kai Kasho Rajan Tatrapye Kai Kaso Rajan Vidyante Gatayas Tridya Vidyante Gatayas Tridha Yada Kataro Yam Yadai Kai Kataron Yam Swabhava Upahanyate Swabhava Upahanyate Sattvam Rajas Tama iti Tishra Surya Nir Naraka Tra ye kai kaso rajan Vidyante Gatayastrina Yadai kai kataron Yam Swabhava Upahanyate
Sattvam Rajastama iti Tishra Sura Naraka Tatrapi Kasho Rajan Vidyante Katayastrita Yadai Kai Kataro Nyabam Swabhava Upayanyate
Sattvam rajastamo iti.
Tisra sura nirnaraka.
Tisra sura nirnaraka.
Tatrapi ekaikaso rajan.
Tatrapi ekaikaso rajan.
Vidyante gatayastridha.
Vidyante gatayastridha.
Yadaikaikataro nabhyam.
Yadaikaikataro nyamyam.
Svabhava upahanyate.
Svabhava upahanyate.
Sattvam rajastamaiti.
Sattvam rajastamaiti.
Tisra sura nirnaraka.
Tisra sura nirnaraka.
Tatrapi ekaikaso rajan.
Tatrapi ekaikaso rajan.
Vidyante gatayastridha.
Vidyante gatayastridha.
Yadaikaikataro nyabhyam.
Yadaikaikataro nyabhyam.
Svabhava upahanyate.
Svabhava upahanyate.
Sattvam rajastama iti.
Sattvam rajastama iti.
Tisraha suranaraka.
Tisra sura nirnaraka.
Tatrapi ekaikaso rajan.
Tatrapi ekaikaso rajan.
Vidyante gatayastridha.
Vidyante gatayastridha.
Yadaikaikataro nyabhyam.
Yadaikaikataro nyabhyam.
Svabhava upahanyate.
Svabhava upahanyate.
Sattvam rajastamaiti.
Sattvam rajastamaiti.
Tisra sura nirnaraka.
Tisra sura nirnaraka.
Tatrapi ekaikaso rajan.
Tatrapi ekaikaso rajan.
Vidyante gatayastridha.
Vidyante gatayastridha.
Yadaikaikataro nyabhyam.
Yadaikaikataro nyabhyam.
Svabhava upahanyate.
Svabhava upahanyate.
Sattvam rajastamaiti.
Sattvam rajastamaiti.
Tisra swanirnaraka.
Tisra
Tisra
sura
sura
nirnaraka.
Tatrape ekaikaso rajan.
Tatrapi ekaikaso rajan.
Vidyante gatayastridha.
Vidyante gatayastridha. Yadaikaikataro nabhyam.
Svabhava upahanyate.
Svabhava upahanyate.
Sattvam rajastamaiti.
Sattvam rajastamaiti. Tisra sura nirnaraka. Tatrapi ekaikaso rajan. Vidyante gatayastridha. Yadaikaikataro nyabhyam. Svabhava upahanyate.
Please repeat. Sattvam,
Sattvam,
the mode of goodness.
the mode of goodness.
Rajaham,
Rajaham,
the mode of passion.
the mode of passion.
Tamaham,
Tamaham,
the mode of darkness.
the mode of darkness.
Iti,
Iti,
thus. Tishraham,
Tisra,
the three.
the three.
Sura,
Sura,
demigod. Near,
near,
human being.
human being.
Narakaha,
Narakaha,
one who is suffering hellish conditions.
one who is suffering hellish conditions.
Tatra api,
Tatrapi,
even there.
even there.
Ekai shaha,
Ekaika saha,
another.
another.
Rajan,
Rajan,
O king.
O king.
Vidyante,
Vidyante,
divided in two.
divided into two.
Gatayaha,
Gatayaha,
donuts. Gatayaha,
Gatayaha,
movements.
movement.
Tridha,
Tridha,
three.
3.
Yada,
Yada,
at that time.
at that time.
Ekai katara,
Ekaikatataha,
one in relation with another.
one in relation with another.
Anyabhyam,
Anyabam,
from the other.
from the other.
Swabhavaha,
Svabhavaha,
habit.
Habit.
Upahanyate,
Upahanyate.
develops. Please repeat. This is the translation. Please repeat. According to the different modes of material nature,
According to the different modes of material nature,
the mode of goodness, the mode of passion,
the mode of goodness and the mode of passion,
and the mode of darkness,
and the mode of darkness,
there are different living creatures
there are different living creatures
who are known as demigods,
who are known as demigods,
human beings, and hellish living entities.
human beings and hellish living entities.
O king, even a particular mode of nature,
Even a particular mode of nature,
being mixed with the other two,
being mixed with the other two,
is divided into three.
is divided into 3.
And thus each kind of living creature
And thus, each kind of living creature
is influenced by the other modes
is influenced by the other mode
and acquires its habits also.
and acquires its habits also.
Okay, I'll read that again. According to the different modes of material nature, the mode of goodness, the mode of passion, and the mode of darkness, there are different living creatures, those who are known as demigods, human beings, and hellish living entities. O king, even a particular mode of nature, being mixed with the other two, is divided into 3, and thus each kind of living creature is influenced by the other modes and acquires its habits also. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The living entities individually are being conducted by a particular mode of nature, but at the same time, there is every chance of their being influenced by the other two. Generally, all conditioned souls in the material engagement are influenced by the mode of passion, because every one of them is trying to lord it over the material nature to fulfill his individual desire. But in spite of the individual mode of passion, there is always the chance of being influenced by the other modes of nature by association. If one is in good association, he can develop the mode of goodness. And if in bad association, he may develop the mode of darkness or ignorance. Nothing is stereotyped. One can change his habit of good or bad association, but one has to become intelligent enough to discriminate between good and bad. The best association is the service of the devotees of the Lord, and by that association one can become the highest qualified man by the grace of the Lord's pure devotees. As we have already seen in the life of Srila Narada Muni, he became the topmost devotee of the Lord simply by the association of pure devotees of the Lord. By birth, he was the servant of a maidservant, and he had no knowledge. He was the son of a maidservant, and had no knowledge of his father, and no academic education, even of the lowest status. But simply by associating with the devotees and by eating the remnants of their foodstuff, he gradually developed the transcendental qualities of the devotees. By such association, his taste for chanting and hearing the transcendental glories of the Lord became prominent. And because the glories of the Lord are not different from the Lord, he got direct association with the Lord by means of sound representation. Similarly, there is the life of Ajamil in the 6th canto, who was the son of a Brahmana and was educated and trained properly in the discharge of the duties of a Brahmana, but who, in spite of all this, because he contacted the bad association of a prostitute, was put into the path of the lowest quality of Chandala, or the last position for a human being. Therefore, the Bhagavatam always recommends the association of the Mahat, or the great soul, for opening the gate of salvation. To associate with persons engaged in lording it over the material world means to enter into the darkest region of hell. One should try to raise himself by the association of the great soul. That is the way of the perfection of life. Translation: according to the different modes of material nature, the mode of goodness, the mode of passion, the mode of darkness, there are different living creatures who are known as demigods, human beings, and hellish living entities. O king, even though a particular mode of nature, being mixed with the other two, is divided into three, and thus each kind of living creature is influenced by the other modes and acquires its habits also. So we're in the material world, we're conditioned souls, and the three modes of material nature is pretty much like looking at a very smooth pond, very tranquil pond. That's our nature. That's our spiritual nature. Prabhupada actually said that we're actually jubilant by nature. And he also said in Bhagavad Gita that Krishna consciousness is a self-manifesting, peaceful condition. So if you look at a smooth pond in the material world, and then you throw one right in the middle, one little pebble, it causes ripples. Those ripples go to the shore and come back. It's a little pond, causes a little bit of chaos. And then you throw, shortly after that, you throw another pebble into the pond. Creates new ripples. They go to the edge and back, and they enter entangled. Now they're entered entangled, like the mode of goodness. That was the first ripples. Mode of passion, the ripples. Now you've got passion and goodness together. And then if you throw one more pebble, that creates another set of ripples that are going. So now you've got three sets of ripples enter, and in millions of ways they're just intertwining, intermixed like that. So also one may say, how does one get out of the influence of the three modes of material nature? Well, it's not always easy. How you do it is through a Mahatma, of course, as Prabhupada recommends in this book, in the purport. But I don't know if everybody knows what this is like, but it's called flypaper, I believe. You pull it like this, and you tack it up, and it's super sticky. If one little part of that touches your finger, forget about it.
You're stuck there forever.
Forget about it. You can hold it, I guess, at the bottom and try to come off. But normally, if one is not familiar with this, what happens is say, well, let me try to over here, pull it off. Well, then you're stuck there. And then say, well, let me just fling it off. Well, then it wraps all around your arm. You're done. You're finished. So the more you struggle, just like in quicksand, the more you struggle without the help of a spiritual master to hand you, a board or a branch, and to pull you out of that quagmire, that quicksand, without that help from higher authorities and surrendering. If you don't grab the branch, the spiritual master can't help you. Prabhupada says, what can I do? If you won't follow the process, what can I do? I want to save you. But if you won't follow the process and be a gentleman and be true to your vows, then what can I do? Because, we're supposed to be just like holding the spiritual master's arm. Following the regular principles, whole program. Regular principles, the chanting and everything. Associating with devotees. Taking shelter of prasadam. Taking shelter of the devotees. Taking shelter of the spiritual master. Taking shelter of Bhagavad Gita every day. The Bhagavatam every day. And you know what I mean? That's A-class ticket. That is the A-class ticket. Right back to the spiritual world. To our transcendental home. And that's our home. Our home is transcendental. But we are thankful. Everyone here is so thankful to be part of this process, to help share it with other living beings, But, and I'm sure everybody can understand what the three modes of material nature are, right? In Bhagavad Gita, the 14th chapter, Krishna says, material nature consists of the three modes, goodness, passion, and ignorance. When a living entity comes in contact with nature, he becomes conditioned by these modes. In the next text 6, he says, O sinless one, the modes of goodness, being purer than the others, is illuminating, and it frees one from all sinful reactions. Those situated in the mode of that mode develop knowledge, but they become conditioned by the concept of happiness. You notice he said, the Lord says concept. We are actually in the bodily concept. We've accepted this concept. False ego is telling us that we are this body. So the spirit soul has accepted this concept. We can also not accept this concept. The mode of passion is born of unlimited desires and longings. O son Kunti, and because of this, one is bound to material, fruitive activities. O son of Bharata, the mode of ignorance causes the delusion of all living entities. The result of this mode is madness, indolence, and sleep, which bind the conditioned soul. The mode of goodness conditions one to happiness, passion conditions him to the fruits of action, and ignorance to madness. Sometimes the mode of passion becomes prominent, defeating the mode of goodness. Wasn't there something in yesterday's report about lunatics?
See, that list of all the different species, and one of them was lunatics.
Yeah.
Which I kind of, feel very, maybe that's my forefathers.
Well, Fayette got off on a good tangent last night because I was preparing for class and everything and started talking about angels. I was reading it to him, and he says, that reminds me, let me look up in that old, it's like a really old dictionary, 1940s or 30s, whatever it is. And he looked up in there and found that, for instance, the angels, there's 9 categories of angels in the Roman Catholic Church.
Yeah.
And seraphims, and cherubims, starting with them, But just goes to show you there's all kinds of fascinating creatures all over the universe, and that's just the material world.
The cherubs are in there too?
What?
Cherubs, yeah.
Yeah.
Cherubs are in there?
I know cherub just short for cherubims.
Yeah, cherub. And that person, Art, was, a monk and an Orthodox form of Christianity, Catholicism. And he said that in original, say 1,500, 1,800 years back, they would, and he would show you some graphs, that each planet had a ruling angel.
Yeah.
And you'd see the angel behind the planet, and the angel with its wings is moving the planets on their, very similar to what we say, Bhumi, Chandra, Vivishwan, the different demigods controlling. So these things are, were there, and over time, with so-called, the age of enlightenment and science and so on. So we don't have anything against necessarily science that's helping us, but when it's trying to prove atheism, then it's a problem.
Yeah. Also, it referred to the angels as heavenly guardians.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody wants to know what angels are, my stepmother, she is from the swamps, but she's psychic, and her mother was that way too. But she kept bringing up the point, because Sonny Ray was a little boy then, and he was saying they keep playing with him and pushing him, like so he'll fall down, He'd be playing all by himself in the living room. And she says, yeah, the little ones, we used to have a couple of those little cherubs out in our yard, little bitty ones.
If you look at the cherubs, they are like baby forms, they're like children. And these people who paint them and draw them, I used to collect them, that's how I know about them. And then they come two together in a pair sometimes. Most of the time they come two.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, if you look, because I collected them, and
Like Valentine's Day.
and they look so beautiful, you know. Cherubs look like that. The person who drew them,
Yeah.
because they're all child form. They're not like big angels with, you know, they have wings, but their wings are different.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine ourselves as being divine beings, but we all are. Everyone is.
But they're still within the material world. That's not our real, you know, eternal, spiritual connect. People have a difficult time understanding spirit as having a form, like a person. You know, we look like, you know, we have 2 arms, 2 legs, and maybe we have 4 arms, I don't know, but in some cases, but 2 arms, 2 legs, you know, but it's not made of material energy. It's made of eternity, bliss, and knowledge.
And some of those wings, they take liberties in movies, but they'll make the wings look like energy waves. Beautiful. And then other movies, you'll see beautiful, real feathers. Huge.
Most of them don't have wings. Most of the angels that I was reading, one Prabhu said they don't need wings. They just...
Yeah. Right, they would just get in the way, I would think. Try walking around.
You know, I read this once back in the 1980s in a newspaper in Atlanta, and this was coming from Pravda. You know, that was the newspaper, the official newspaper of the Soviet Union. The Soviet Union, that was communism. They banned religion. They were atheists. Okay, but their cosmonauts said that when they were up floating around space, one of their little Sputniks or something, they said that they saw angels with wings. Each wing was as big as a Boeing 707.
Oh God.
Now, why would, you know, these people are atheists. Why would they put that in their newspaper and then release it to the world if it wasn't an actual...
I think Gargarin, when he was up there, he says, I looked everywhere, but I did not see the face of God. You know, so he was being not so nice. But I think it was just a short time later he passed away. I'm going to read a little bit more because it's almost the end here. From the mode of goodness, real knowledge develops. From the mode of passion, grief develops. And from the mode of ignorance, foolishness, madness, and illusion develop. Those situated in the mode of goodness gradually go upward to the higher planets. Those in the mode of passion live on the earthly planets. And those in the mode of ignorance go down to the hellish worlds. And if you want to know what this text is, it's text 26 in chapter 14, where it says, the Lord says, one who engages in full devotional service, who does not fall down in any circumstance, at once transcends the modes of material nature, and thus comes to the level of Brahman. So sometimes I see sannyasis and they're walking and, you know what I mean, and it's like, they don't even say hi to me or something, you know what I mean? I think, oh, maybe they're on the level of Brahman, you know what I mean? I mean, they're just ignoring me totally, you know what I mean? Just, I don't know. In the spiritual world, we're all friends. It sounds, you know, that's why people, everybody should ask older devotees, what about this? I see this behavior, that behavior. I don't understand it, you know. So you have to explain it to them. You know what? That this knowledge is so elevated, you know what I mean? And Prabhupada, he was like friends to everybody, but he came down from the Uttama Adhikari platform to the Madhyama Adhikari, you know, to preach, you know. But when Uttama Adhikari sees everybody as a spirit soul, you know. But you come Madhyama Adhikari, then you have to see the difference, you know. So it's the real deal. It's the real deal. I mean, if you're trying to get, for instance, you want to send a letter and you just put it in a box on your porch, you know, it's not going to go anywhere. It's just sit there for 1,000 years, you know. It's not going to go anywhere because it's not authorized. But if you take it up and put it in your post office box, I mean, that day, it's going out to where it's supposed to go. You know what I mean? Because it's authorized. Does anybody have questions? Any comments or anything?
I wrote. So I'm reading Bhagavatam, and I'm reading about that Garuda. He went back to his planet, and his planet was called Kinnar. Kinnara. And Prabhupada explains in this planet that there's actually humans with wings, and they're constantly chanting the glories of the Lord. But I also saw another purpose that Prabhupada differentiates that with angels. So my question is, I was thinking that was angels, but I guess it's not.
Well, in the Vedic culture, maybe angels are not so important as they are in America. And we grew up hearing about angels. We want to know about them. You know, we want to know. But in India, it's probably not that big a thing, maybe, you know. But there's a lot of Christians in India, so they might also be curious, you know.
And my other thing I was thinking about love for the spiritual master. What came to my mind was a remembrance of how one devotee was asking Prabhupada, what does it mean to have love for your spiritual master? And the devotee was thinking, oh, he's going to say some emotional thing, kind of like that. And Prabhupada was making the point. You have taken initiation. You have to have these vows to follow. So when you're following these vows, because you have initiated, that is actually true love for the spiritual.
Yeah, he answered it two different ways. Does anybody remember the other way he answered that? But what is love for the spiritual master? I remember he answered it another way also. I remember that one. I can't remember the other one right now. Anybody else have a comment or question?
Interestingly, in Chaitanya Charitamrita, the Chota Haridas, he was banished and he eventually committed suicide. So he used to come later, and of course he was forgiven. He used to come later, he used to sing to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So the devotees drew Chota Haridas like angels. You remember going to Chaitanya Charitamrita?
Yeah.
So they made him an angel coming and singing for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
And so Prabhupada didn't say to change it or anything? He didn't say to change it, or there's nothing else?
Okay. Still find it in Chaitanya Charitamrita.
Yeah. I thought so. I don't know if I've ever wondered about that, but that's beautiful. All glories to Suman devotees, all glories to the entire Parampara, Shishi Gauranitai, Shishi Radha Radha Kapta, all glories to New Talavana and Transcendental Book Distribution, New Talavana, Cow Protection, Ki Jai!
I just want to say that I truly thank everybody who did a lot to make that food festival sort of success, you know. But anyhow, he had complaints, this, that, all, but anyhow, Krishna would be happy, and I want to thank everybody who did.
But we want to thank you for organizing the whole thing.
I didn't do anything, I just was the servant.
It was all on your head.
We could have done better, but what to do, no gas, you know.